Welcome everyone to a new update. Today we'll be talking about macroeconomic events causing markets to move, but we'll also be discussing the movements of the markets as Bitcoin has been making a very strong run in the past 24 hours as we have been hitting 20.8k. What can we expect from here? That's what we're discussing today. Before we continue, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to this YouTube channel if you do enjoy the content. As you see, we're posting way more. Tomorrow I'll be live at 2 p.m. to cover the big events too. Also, we have partnered with Bybit and can give you 1 full month for free to our premium platform, plus $100 if you deposit 1k and make one future trade. All you need to do is sign up to Bybit through our link and you'll be granted access to our platform. Check the description beneath this update. A few important things to consider before continuing with this video is that we've had a significant massive news event taking place yesterday for the crypto markets, which has been pushing up the markets even more. The United Kingdom has announced that they will be favoring, and they voted in favor, for Bitcoin and crypto becoming financial instruments. This is the day after the new Prime Minister got announced, and we already know that he is pretty pro-crypto. You might wonder, does that have anything to do with the fact that we want decentralization and more? Yes, we want decentralization, but can't simply expect mass adoption in that order. So in order to have mass adoption taking place, we need to have things like this as regulatory frameworks are built and other entities like pension funds and more are able to adapt Bitcoin towards their investment thesis, but we're also able to pay with crypto cards everywhere in the world. Second, we've also got data coming in yesterday from big tech companies like Google and Microsoft. Google came in worse than expected as both the revenue and the earnings per share were a big miss, resulting into the stock itself falling after market close, and it has been falling quite significantly. On the other hand, we've seen Microsoft kicking in, which was more positive than expected, at least on the key numbers, and that resulted in a downwards fall after markets as well, as it's down more than 5%, being taken by Google missing the targeted expectations. This is putting some pressure on the markets, but indices specifically and not the DXY or bond markets at all. But you should definitely keep in mind that tomorrow is going to be a very big day with Apple and Amazon kicking in with their numbers as well. These numbers are expected to be released after markets close off tomorrow, which is after 10 p.m. Central European time, and then they release their numbers. Now, why are the markets moving heavily all of a sudden on Bitcoin and crypto? Even Ethereum shows more strength as it went up from $1,320 to $1,500 in the blink of an eye, showing way more positivity and strength than Bitcoin has been doing recently, and it has already been making new highs in a month. The fact is that a breakout did happen due to a few important factors. First one is the fact that the yields have been falling significantly in the US the past 24 hours. It's a topic we have been covering yesterday, which resulted into the fact that China stated that companies need to buy their own assets to avoid any further crashing. This slowly caused some bounces on the markets over there, yields to fall and markets to stabilize by a bit, through which risk on assets like Bitcoin and the Nasdaq started to generate some momentum, as we have been seeing in the past 24 hours. Now, the time therefore is to jump into the actual assets that we are looking at and to jump into the charts in which we can see the actual yields, in which we can see the impact on Bitcoin, and we can derive whether or not you should be jumping into Bitcoin right now based from TA. As I've given in the introduction, we have been seeing a pretty significant breakout of Bitcoin. So what did actually happen here is that we flipped the crucial level here at 19.2 for support. We also concluded that the crucial breakout has to happen above 19.5. And if we see a critical breakout above there, we probably are going to see a very fast-paced run in which we are taking out all these highs and therefore start continuing the strength, okay? That's what we have been seeing yesterday because of the fact that the yields were dropping. So let's jump into the yields. They are not falling off a cliff, but at least they started the correction yesterday and therefore induced the markets to have some momentum. If we discuss the yields, we can clearly say that we've got this bearish divergence, and we can clearly say that at least we've got some calm temperature here. But for now, today, it might be reasonable to expect a slight bounce taking place here, and therefore crypto to correct a bit before GDP is coming in tomorrow, before the ECB will be coming in tomorrow, before Japan comes in on Friday and the PCE comes in on Friday and the Fed itself next week. So I definitely agree that we are on the edge of having the reversal here, but we should still be understanding the fact that there are also bounces in between, resulting into corrections on Bitcoin. Then the second reason is that the weakness on the DXY took place, in which we are back to the lows that we bounced from in October 5th. Right now we are into that bounce territory again, suiting the fact that we might be seeing some momentum looting on Bitcoin. But overall, if we are continuing the downwards fall and starting to take out these lows, I think that the dollar is even ready to fall all the way towards 105, or at least consolidate, and therefore suiting Bitcoin. All right. So when we discussed Bitcoin, we stated that it has been breaking the highs here. So what usually happens when you break those highs is that shorts have their stops above that level, which is also the case with the longs. So we have been seeing the exact same taking place here as well. Once you break through it, you're going to see volume kicking in because stops are getting hit on shorts, liquidations are getting hit, which is forced stops. And if the stops are getting hit, it's forced buys to close the short position. So therefore you see the volume coming in on this actual move, causing a chain reaction because we got all those highs being lined up here for the actual move, resulting into the continuation of the move of Bitcoin all the way towards the highest at 20.3 actually. And since then we've been bouncing from 20k, resulting into a continuation of taking out these highs as well, and therefore we've saw the accelerated run towards 20.8. This is a level I've been mentioning quite some time already. I stated that once we were able to break through 19.6, we would technically going to continue towards 20.8. That is a midterm like resistance point where we should be reversing or consolidate for a little bit before we continue running all the way towards 22.3k, because that's an untested level, and we've got this entire gap here which most likely will be hitting or at least will be closing in within the coming days or weeks. So when we get towards a slight conclusion here is that the dollar might be in for a slight bounce. The indices are going to open in the red because of the fact that Microsoft and Google came in worse. So we are seeing a slight correction taking place here. We might lose this level, get a little bit more correction going before we start continuing the upwards run. At least the slight correction is not causing Bitcoin to move at all, but once the US opens, we might be seeing an impact there overall as well. And we got the earnings coming in tomorrow even more. So midterm resistance here, scalp short entry. Technically speaking, there are a few levels that you should be looking at if you want to take trades from. Scalp shorts, that's this region. But longs, I stated that in the short update earlier today as well. Longs is 20.2 and longs is the region around 20k, because then we are taking the lows here, taking liquidity there, and having another higher low taking place in which we can continue the run and then start targeting 22.3k. Because overall, if you look at the chart here, we start to have a slight reversal taking place, or at least a bottoming formation, through which also moving averages are kicking in, resulting into additional confirmation, argumentation for people to be jumping into the actual trades, and therefore we can start targeting this entire block at 22 and potentially even higher. Why? Because we have been making these higher lows, right? Especially since here we started to make higher lows. We got the wick here, which was during CPI, which is a macro event and an outlier. And now we also have been cracking the lower highs, which means the trend is now shifting towards higher lows, higher highs. And therefore the strategy has to be built towards that case as well. So in that case, when we're looking at the time frames, I'm marking 20k and 20.2 as definite levels to look at, and 19.6 is the most optimal one that you could be diving into. But more often, it's also going to be moving through all the macro events taking place in the coming few days, which we'll be discussing. And then after that, we'll also be making updates on altcoins to show where the markets are going to go to. Finally, Ether. We have been covering Ethereum in the updates as well. I stated that I preferably want to see a flip of 1320. I just discussed with you cracking the highs, right? So in this case, we have already been taking the high at 1340 and saw a slight correction taking place, resulting into a retest and confirmation that buyers are stepping in. Was a long trigger. I targeted 1500 next or 1470. We even showed more strength and started running towards the next target zone, which is at 1650. That is for me a short scalp trigger. For longs, I think we're going to take out this low here. Therefore, I'm targeting approximately 1400. Most optimal 1360. Don't think we are going to get it. But I think right now you've had a beautiful run on the upside. Therefore, a slight correction is not unlikely and healthy for the markets before we can start targeting 1650 and 1725 again. If you enjoyed this update, make sure to hit that like button. Tomorrow at 2 p.m. I'll be live covering all the macro events taking place in the markets. Also make sure to check out the other social media platforms and the actual action we have with Bybit. Have a wonderful day. Ciao.